Hello, everyone. This is Phyllis Wilson coming to you with my daily moments. I know it has been 2 days since I've actually recorded or uploaded any videos, but that's simply because I had to really get my perspective in place. So, with everything going on, that's what it took. It took for me to take some time, and I'm sure you all can understand it, but I had to take some time to get my perspective in place. And what do I mean by that? I mean this: my perspective, my point of view, my understanding, and in order to really give myself the true meaning of what my perspective is, based on all the events and the situations that have gone on, not just here in Illinois, but in all states and all places in the world. I had to get all the components together to collectively be able to think about what my perspective is. Now, I believe in respecting whatever your perspective is because that's what works for you and that's what makes sense for you. But as far as my perspective goes, how sad, disappointing, and frustrating this world and this state has been for me. Simply because, yes, I agree with the protesting. Yes, I agree that enough is enough already. But it's more than enough. And then to have people add more fuel to the fire with other things that they feel from their perspective is what is necessary and needed. What I learned from this experience has been, and my perspective and take on it has been, there are too many people doing actions without thought-provoking process to take place first. And as a result of them acting out first, it has resulted in the negative of what was really meant to take place in such a time as this. So my perspective is that I had to take a step back and not do nothing, but take a step back and evaluate what is the best educated result that will get me what we really need to do, which is make it be awareness, come up with some real solutions that could make, not fix it, but repair what the damages and the heart and frustration is, all the hardship or the heartache, and then an understanding of what is caused or what has caused this frustration. Because yes, sometimes whatever the end result is, or like the situation we're currently in with everything, and my heart goes out to George Floyd's family, especially his mother, because I could not even fathom how she's feeling about the loss of her son because he was murdered on the very streets that ancestors have helped build, probably walked and protested on themselves. But then to see that the dynamic has shifted to where this was a time and opportunity to make things really happen the right way, for others to first take into account their emotions first and then bring them out in such a negative way with the looting and the fire starting and all of the destruction. Because we already had the destruction with what the officers did. We already had the destruction. And it was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of African American brothers and sisters, as well as other nationalities who are heartfelt, upset, and frustrated with us because they realize and recognize it may be what we're experiencing as a brown-skinned African American people, but they recognize that it could have a trickle-down effect to affect their environment, their culture, their communities, and their very loved ones that they fight so hard to protect and look out for in so many ways. So they're with us with it. But then to have those who are not thinking first, and I mean some of the young people are not thinking first, they're acting, and they're acting based upon not having a clear understanding of what is being called to for action to really take place. So my perspective is, it was all over the place when this first happened because, of course, I right away I felt the emotions of a mother being frustrated, being aggravated, and saying, God knows how I would feel if it was my child. I don't care if he was a grown man. He still came out of a woman's womb, his mother. I don't care if he didn't live at home with his mom. He still was the one that she carried for 9 months. So my perspective on that was, God help those police officers. But then my perspective looked at everything that transpired like rapid rushing wind and water, to where there was no time to stop something that had started just as fast as it started, which was the looting and tearing businesses up, tearing up communities and all of that. And in the midst of all of this, I am now, or was at that time, in those 2 days, dealing with the death of a cousin and trying to put all of that together, and then being the one who officiated his funeral. So my perspective and my mindset was kind of, I didn't even have the words to express what I was feeling, let alone give you a clear perspective and understanding. So here's my perspective on what our next step should be. If you don't like it, don't watch this video. Pick another video on my channel. But my perspective is we need to strategize. We need to be held accountable for those of us in our communities who have created damage. And it doesn't mean we need to go and put our name on a checklist. We need to really think about, what did we contribute to the end result that our communities look at like. For those who protested, God bless you, because that's what was called for as an immediate action. To make awareness of, no more. We're not taking it anymore. We're not standing still on it, and we're not putting up with it. This fight must continue, but not a physical with my fist, punching people out, stabbing people, shooting people, threatening people, tearing stuff up fight. But a fight that says we need it in writing and for it to become a law against this. That the police department, the cops, whatever you are calling them, the ones that were brought here and took the oath to protect and serve. It didn't say protect and serve a specific class, race, or gender of people. It was an oath to protect and serve people. It didn't matter what their color is. It didn't matter what their gender or religion or their sexual orientation is. The oath that they took said to protect and serve, period. They need to be held accountable to where something else needs to come in place, because obviously they just started just randomly putting people who could pass the physical and pass the written test and allowed them to be armed with a weapon and with batons, and gave them the authority and the right to do whatever they see fit to do on the streets for the very communities and countries and states that we live in. Shame on you that were the ones or are the ones that are in charge to make the decision over who wears a badge, and it should be a badge of honor, not a badge of disgrace. So my perspective is that something needs to, not just training, but some formal compassion, understanding, and some humanistic understanding of what humans are, and that all lives matter. Black, brown, yellow, green, and purple, they all matter. But that they need to be known that they will be held accountable for anything they do that goes against the very oath that they raised their hands to and swore to uphold. Because you have not upheld it, you have covered and hidden behind it. So my perspective is a lot of change has to happen. And change is going to come, because nobody's going to sit still and nobody's going to be quiet. And this won't just pass over because you issue out a stimulus check. And it won't just pass over because you say, let it die down. But at the same time, when all of this is going on, we need to first understand that there is an underlying message and a hidden agenda that we have not even thought or considered because of the outrage that we are dealing with, the frustration, the aggravation that we are dealing with, the burned up, beat up, tore down communities that right now has a Band-Aid on them, but they actually need to be fully repaired. But right now they have a Band-Aid on them, a quick fix. But we need to look at the underlying message, which is, and my perspective of the underlying message is, it's all to take our focus and mind off of everything going on political. Because while we're doing this, they're lining up and getting in line. They, you know who they are lining up and getting in line all that they need to, so that we get back the same political parties and political representation that we have, because they're expecting out of our frustration and aggravation that we will not show up at the polls. I challenge you, all of those of color, African Americans, Latinos, Asians, Anybody in the LGBTQ community, I challenge you. I challenge you. The Pakistanians, the Iranians, I challenge you. All of those who are registered voters or who are at the age where they can register to register and vote. And my challenge is that you show up at the polls like never before and set a different perspective and understanding with this political party. I don't care if it's Democrat or Republican. There has to be a massive change. And that's my perspective. What is yours? Like, share, subscribe to my channel, because there'll be more upcoming topics that will probably raise hair on the back of your neck. But I thank you for your time. I thank you for your understanding. I love the world the same way that I expect to be loved back in return, no matter what my skin color is, no matter what my gender is, and no matter if you think there's a different perspective. My perspective is change is going to come, and we have no other options. Change have to come, and it has to be change that brings more equality and unity among all people, regardless of their race, gender, or sexual orientation. And that is my perspective.